Okay, hi there everybody. This is Laura. Welcome to my video blog series. I'm glad you could join me today where my topic will be encounter groups. And I'm just going to share with you guys a little bit about my experience in an encounter group. I actually just completed participation in an encounter group research project that lasted about 4 weeks. We met on a bi-weekly basis. My current therapist had actually recommended me as an ideal candidate for this project that they were leading because I am a highly functioning member of society that also is very aware of my level of suffering, and I really felt that being able to connect with others would be beneficial. So most of you guys know that I am a 30-year-old attorney, very active in the community. I volunteer, I run marathons, but what you might not know is that I do suffer quite a bit from depression and anxiety. I was diagnosed as a child with an eating disorder and was involved with some individual and group therapies throughout adolescence and early adulthood, many of which were very destructive. The group therapies that I participated in, some of the other members I really couldn't relate to, and they had a gamut of other issues that they were dealing with. For myself, I just felt like without being able to connect with them, that I was starting to lose myself in the group, and it just wasn't helpful. I didn't do it for a long period of time, and I was kind of turned off by that whole process. So this idea of trying out this encounter group was a little scary for me, but it actually ended up being very beneficial. It was an unstructured group, although it was led loosely by a therapist. The other members in the group were professionals just like myself, and I found that to be very empowering because I was able to identify with these people in a way that I'm not able to connect with others. They were all professionals, very similar to myself. However, they also were suffering with things in their life that they felt like they were keeping secret. This group allowed us to be able to connect with others in a way that we're not able to connect with others in other roles of our lives. So this group, basically we would just share kind of things that were going on, but we also were very open and honest with each other about how we were perceiving each other, things that we observed and noticed within ourselves and with others' responses. So we were much more transparent in our relationships, and what I found that contributed to was a more intimate connection and a sense of being validated, but also being validated and trusting the relationships that that others were being truthful and honest with themselves and with myself. So I felt incredibly connected to the other parts, the other members of this group in a way that I have not been able to connect with other people in my life, personally and professionally. Specifically, I'd like to just share one exercise we did where last week the group facilitator simply opened our practice asking us what we'd have for dinner, and it seems like a really simple question, but for 10 people who struggle with food and self-image, it was challenging. And what I found from this exercise was how challenging it was for me to talk about what I had eaten, but also how challenging it was for me to listen to others share what they had eaten, their process of eating by themselves, something that for most people can be very unnoticeable. Nothing really too important or significant in that experience, but for maybe someone who has issues surrounding food and body image, there's a lot of significance in that process. And I found that in my own sharing and everyone else's sharing in the group, and then on top of that, us being able to share what we interpreted from others sharing and from our experience in sharing, was that all of our perceptions were very, very different. And it really opened my eyes to reality not being black and white, and that all of us have our own unique way of interpreting the external, and the way that we interpret and digest our external world contributes to the level of joy or suffering that we experience on an internal level. And it's also really exposed some of the struggles that we encounter as human beings, no matter how together or not together put together we look from the outside, that we all are part of this human family. And as human beings, we have in common the need for love, for joy, for connection, and that when we don't have that, we suffer. And that in being able to share some of the struggles that we experience on an individual level, that a lot of strength can come from that, and an ability to digest those struggles in a way that we can process them and understand them and to use them as maybe ways to become stronger. So in that one experience I was sharing with you guys, talking about eating a meal by myself and hearing from others their experience of eating a meal by themselves, it allowed me to understand how the whole process of food is just, it's a very deeply rooted relationship that triggers other thought processes, and that's where my future work will be surrounded by really kind of unraveling some of the deeply ingrained thought processes that stem from my relationship with food, and that don't necessarily come from the food itself. Outside of that, this group, we also would work with the researcher and the group facilitator to talk openly about our experiences in the group. So different than group therapy, where my therapist doesn't really talk about their experience of, being my therapist. We did that in this group, and so it's very interesting to hear the researchers' feedback, the group therapists' observances and feedback, and to move through this process with the 12 of us having different roles, different viewpoints, a lot of richness in that experience. But I find that the most richness came from all of us being equal as human beings, and despite having different roles in the group, we all had something to contribute. And from that, I took away that I have the freedom to have a new perception, a new perspective of the world, of myself and others. So I'm excited to go forwards in the world armed with this new knowledge, with these experiences that I have gained in an encounter group, and from this ability to be open and honest and connect with people on a different level. And I look forward to exploring that further.